Yes, it doesn't change. Yeah, he's doing it now. Awesome. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
No, thank you. IT. Thank you. Hi, everyone. I apologize. Zoom crowd, thank you for sticking with us. We are going to be talking financial procedures, and here is the easiest, I shouldn't say the easiest thing, the most important thing for you to figure out about the financial procedures. Everything is an OspreyHub, everything is a form, and you all can figure it out if you go and play with it. All right? We made this presentation years ago when this was all brand new, and people were like, what? I don't fill out a form with a pen? Nowadays, people go in and they're like, I just put in a finance request. I'm like, who the hell are you? Random kid who does not even in a club. And I'm like, how did you do that? Oh, I figured it out. So go into the system and play with it, and you'll be able to figure it out. My name is Jeff Wakeman. I am the Director of Student Development, and this is the finance procedures for OspreyHub. So hopefully you all know how to log into the OspreyHub, right? Cool, you all know how to find the finance button, right? We're gonna start with that. We're gonna start with some big terms. Start with big terms. Two big terms you need to know about. One is club budget, and the other one is revenue funds. Club budget is the amount of money that Student Senate gives to your club every year. Or if you go for a supplemental and they give you money, that is called your club budget. All right? That money is good between now and May 30th. That is this year's activities fees, which are designed to be used for this year's students. So you don't get to carry that over. We had someone earlier asking about, like, what were you buying, and you wanted to know how much the money came back? It was like, we said Halloween decorations. If you put in $500 for Halloween decorations and you use $450 of it, if it is coming out of your club budget and you don't ever spend that $50, on June 1st, that $50 is no longer yours. Where does it go? It goes back into a giant pot that ends up getting reallocated to other clubs in future years. Okay? Very important. Club budgets turn over every year, and every year you ask for a new one. Revenue funds. Revenue funds are things that you generated. If you sold tickets, that's a revenue fund. If you had a bake sale, that's revenue funds. If you ask money to put in $5 for kids with cancer, that's revenue funds. The rules for spending are rules for your budget or rules for your revenue. They have two different rule sets. Important to remember. Revenue also carries over year to year to year. So if you raise money for kids with cancer on May 30th, we don't take that from the kids with cancer. That stays in your budget. And hopefully you write a check so that way those kids with cancer get the money. All right, so what do? You log into the OspreyHub. I'm going to go quick because most of you know it. You go over here and there's a little button that says log in. When you log in, you can see your face or your initials. And then you hit the three little square buttons. It takes you to Student Leader Land. When you get to Student Leader Land, you hit the three little lines over here that is called the hamburger menu. I didn't make that up. That's what they call it. When you go to the hamburger menu, you come down to finance. If you don't see the finance button, it could be that your organization is not funded. Anybody in a fraternity or sorority? When you log in, do you see the finance button? Nope, because they're not funded. All right? So if you go there and you don't see a finance button, come see us. Say, hey, why don't I see a finance button? The answer might be, oh, well, you're not funded. When you go to that finance button, you can push this button that says accounts. When you push that accounts button, you're going to see how much money you have. Before you spend any money, make sure you have money. I know this is drastically different than when you're buying sneakers. Just pull out that credit card, that's okay. But for us, you're going to get accounts. And you might have two different accounts, Active Minds Budget and Active Minds Revenue. Make sense? There's the budget. 4,820 is what disappears on June 1st. 1,597 revenue is what stays around. Every time you put in a purchase request, it's going to ask you what account. So, if you see this button here, it says create a new request. There are two different kinds of requests that you might be doing. A purchase request or a funding request. Go back to your account. If you see your budget has $0, you can't purchase anything with $0, but you can request more money. That is the difference between a purchase request and a finance request. All right? Purchase request is spending money out of your account. You need one of these for every single expense. We talked earlier about the trip that you might go on where you're going to rent a van and you're going to buy tickets to that show and you're going to buy lunch. You're going to need 3 different purchase requests for that. One for the van, one for the tickets, one for lunch. All right? If you're doing a Halloween party, you might need one for candy, one for decorations, one for the band, one to play the spooky movie, what else are we doing? I don't know. One to buy the bucket to bob for apples. Don't bob for apples. That is not COVID safe. I take that back. All right? So sometimes people call the funding request a supplemental request. That is old school Stockton language. It happens to come out of an account called supplemental. So if you hear someone say, oh, make a supplemental request, what they really mean is a funding request. So anyway, if you have the money, you do this. If you're asking for the money, you do that. Pretty simple, right? That's what it looks like. It's a little pull-down menu. Create a purchase request or create a funding request. Your purchase request, see right up here, there's 3 things. Purchase request, funding request, and accounts. When you look at your purchase requests, you may see all of these old requests. You can look at the date that it was approved. You can look at what happened. You can look at what it was called, how much it cost. And if you go over here, see the little eye and see the little printer? That's so you can look at the old requests. So you're like, oh, that DJ last year was hot. Who was it? He was jamming, he was bumping. Find where it says DJ for Halloween party. Hit that little I button, and you'll probably find that DJ's phone number, name, and how much he charged last year. Very important. So anyway, you need money, you got an idea. You go over here, and you choose purchase request. We're going to do the purchase request first. You can't see that at the top. Right there it says purchase request. Sorry. All right. It's going to start asking you a bunch of questions. Very easy. Subject. That's the name of the event. Requested amount. Hopefully you know what that is. Description. What we need for the description is the actual description of what you're paying for. Don't put DJ. Put DJ package with light system for 3 hours. The reason you're doing that is if he shows up and he doesn't have his light system, we know not to pay them. If you negotiated something specific with that artist or that vendor, make sure you put it in that description, because that's what we're going to put in the contract, and that's what we're going to be expecting. That's the services we're going to be expecting. All right, account. Remember I said you had to select the account? So that's, again, are you taking it out of your revenue account or are you taking it out of your budget account? All right, any finance majors in the room? Any accounting majors in the room? What's your name? Helena or Elena? Elena. Elena, please stand up and tell everyone what this word means, payee. No, you don't have to stand up. I was kidding. What does payee mean? It's the person you're paying. Okay? Everyone, this is very important. 9 out of 10 financial requests we get, you know what you put on there, or what people put on payee line? Their own name. No, that's not what we want. We want the person who we're paying. You're all laughing, but I promise you, everybody gets this wrong. So payee information is the first name, street, and everything else of who you're paying. If you're buying something from Amazon.com, the first name is Amazon.com, and don't worry about the rest of it. If you're buying it from Walmart, just write Walmart. But if you're writing a check to an actual person, like a photographer or a DJ, please put that payee information as the person who is receiving the money. Make sense? Cool. Categories. It's important to select the category here because at the end of the year, we pull reports and things, and we try and figure out how much we spent on food. And then we go to Chartwells, and we're like, yo, you cost us too much money. Look at how much money we spent on food. So please make sure you're doing this correctly. It helps with our finance. So anyway, so you're going to go down here, and then you're going to put in the vendor phone number, email address, or the website. This is where you put Amazon.com or whatever website you're buying. Please don't buy from Wish. It'll never get here in time. Hopefully at this point, you've done maybe a event request at the same time. If you've done an event request, put the page, the URL of the page of the event request there. Because what this does is next year's president, when they're like, oh, what was that event that they hired that DJ for? And they find this, and then they want to know, well, what time did that party start? You can click on that and actually go to the event page. So try and get the event page in there. Right here, preferred date and time to check out the credit card. Please, if you know that you need it the Tuesday before, put the date, the correct date there. Every single time we make a purchase, we need a form of backup. All right? If you're buying 10 things out of Amazon, fill a cart, save that page as a PDF, and upload it here. Because what's going to happen, Melissa in my office is going to take that printout and make the purchase for you with our credit card through our system. We are tax exempt on Amazon, okay? So if you just like cut and paste the URL of your cart, that doesn't work. Put it in a cart, save it as PDF so we can read exactly which vendor and how many you're buying. Does that make sense? If the DJ sent you an invoice, if you're working with a t-shirt company and they send you an invoice, that's what you want to upload right there. Okay? If it is a vendor that we have never used before, like Fred the DJ has to pay taxes on the money that we're spending on him. So we need a W-9 form that is a tax form for every single vendor. Guess what? We already have the W-9 for Amazon. We already have the W-9 for a lot of our different companies that we use all the time. So if you're coming up with somebody new, you have a speaker coming in, you have anything like that, we can get you a W-9 form for them to fill out. Or if they're a professional who does this a lot, they'll be able to send you their W-9 without even asking. Yes, question? Yeah, we got that. Yeah. All right. So you can scan these in our copy room if they give you a paper file. Everybody's got a scanner these days. Taking a picture with your cell phone doesn't always turn out real well. Please find a Xerox machine and make a scan. How you're going to pay is this drop-down box right here. Credit card, which we will take to a real store. Credit card for an online transaction. Almost everything is going to be paid by check. That's where we really need that quote or that invoice form, or we're going to have to write a contract to that DJ. That's where the paperwork gets kind of lengthy. So just know that, this takes a little while. Or an internal transfer. If you're buying something from Chartwell's or the print shop, or you're giving $500 to somebody else's event, that's an internal transfer. So let's come up with one of those. What's your club? SVO, what's your club? Okay, so let's say SVO and Asian Student Alliance are getting together and you're co-sponsoring a lecture. Okay, SVO does all the paperwork for the lecture. They get the W-9, they do the contract, they set everything up. You're paying $500 of the $1,500 price. If he does all the paperwork for the lecture, you have to do a purchase request for $500 internal transfer. The vendor is SVO. Make sense? He comes in and he says, that other club, they're paying $500. We don't know whether that's true or not unless you tell us transfer $500 to that club. All right. Purchase requests. I already mentioned you can push that purchase request button and see all the old purchase requests. I think I was supposed to say that here, not earlier. All right. I mentioned this before, that there are some preferred vendors for printable apparel items and promotional items. Ace Screen Printing, which is over by Rowan. They are one of the preferred vendors. Quality Concepts is one of the vendors. They do printed items and t-shirts. And Promotions and Unicorns is also one of the preferred vendors. So if you need to get, I can't take it out now, but like the lanyards that we had printed, that's Promotions and Unicorns. The green clicky pens in our office, that was through Promotional Unicorns. I think the little Post-it pads were from Quality Concepts. Make sense? All right. And again, we already got their W-9. You don't need to harass them for the W-9. Oh, and we have a Business Prime account. So we don't pay tax when we do Amazon. All right, so let's say you don't have that money. Let's say you just came up with a fantastic idea and you're going to bring a lecturer to campus and they cost way more than you have in the budget. Awesome. The Student Senate is sitting on a giant pile of money that they save specifically for new ideas and things that don't fit in your budget. All right, and they want you to come to them and say, hey, I just had a great new idea. How do you do that? Funding request. You do a purchase request per thing that you're purchasing. You do a funding request per event. Okay? You don't go to Senate and say, I need a DJ for my, you don't go to them 3 times and say, I need a DJ and decorations and food. You go to them and you say, I'm throwing a Halloween party. One request that includes the DJ, the food, and the decorations. All right? So, request details, funding request. Now, this is all about the event. Subject, that's the event name. Description, we're going to have a Halloween party and it's going to be lit, yo. Requested amount, $1,500. Categories, the categories here are entertainment, travel, conference. What type of program is this? A program, it's a purchase. It's a travel that is open to all students. That means we are selling tickets and we're going to Washington, D.C. to check out the Air and Space Museum. Go ahead. Remember, this is if you're asking for new money, it's here. If you're asking to use your money you already have, it's the other way. That's the difference between what we just talked about and what we're talking about now. So anyway, what type of program is this? Is it a program you're having on campus? Are you buying something? Are you travel open to all students like we're going to DC? Is it travel open to members only? Or is it a conference? What is the estimated attendance? How many people are you taking? Has your organization received funding? The next set of questions use each line to describe the itemized. Please list the first expense. If we're doing a Halloween party, this might be DJ 400. We don't need to know the name of the DJ at this point. You'll do that later. Second expense. Food from Chartwell's. We're getting hot dogs and hamburgers. Third expense. Decorations. We're going to go to Hobby Lobby and buy spooky stuff. If you have any backup materials, such as estimated invoices or a conference registration packet, this is where you upload it. Notice you don't need one for every vendor here. This is one per event. What is the total cost of the event? What is the total cost of the club's contribution? What is the total personal contribution? What does this mean? If you're going to Broadway, the total cost of the event is the bus, the tickets, and the lunch. The total club's contribution, maybe you're going to get half of it out of your regular budget and you're asking for the other half. And then the total personal contribution is what you're going to charge for tickets. Does that make sense, everybody? Cool. Sometimes you're going on a conference. What is the total cost of the event? You tally up everything. What is the total cost of the club's contribution? Maybe the club is going to pay for the hotels for everybody. What is the total personal contribution? Maybe the personal contribution is every student is required to get themselves to DC for the conference. So sometimes these are dollar figures, sometimes they're descriptions. Both are allowed. All right, deposit form. Anytime you're doing a deposit, whether you sold tickets or you're asking everybody to put in $5 towards the $50 sweatshirt you're buying, or you held a bake sale and you're coming up to do a deposit, you're going to get a deposit form. It's very important that you do deposits often, okay? If you're doing a 5-day bake sale, you should do 5 deposits, because nobody ever wants to be accused of losing money. So don't take it home, don't put it in an envelope, don't put it in your car trunk, I don't care. Make those deposits as early and as often as possible. You don't have to run up at noon and then run up at 2 and then run up at 4, unless you're got a lot of money. Make deposits. So what you're going to do is you're going to come in with your envelope of cash, and you're going to put what date it is, your fund, organization, and account number we can help you fill out, but it's on the OspreyHub. Category, if you have any checks, they must be listed there. What's your club? This is a signature of the club, a signature of the student development, signature of the bursar's office. You will get a copy of this, and it will go into your revenue account. All right? What does category mean? That's where you tell us what you plan to do with the money. If this is a fundraiser for kids with cancer, please put fundraiser for American Red Cross, or fundraiser for, try and list the organization itself. Why? Because you might graduate and never have gotten around to depositing that money, or not depositing it, to actually writing a check to that organization. So if you do that, it keeps track of how much money was deposited for every single thing. If it's sweatshirt money, write sweatshirt money, fall 2021 fundraiser. Because that will keep track. That little category is what will be listed in OspreyHub as the deposit. And it will help all the future people, all the future officers know how much money you made. All right? Wow, this is so this is our website, in case you haven't been there. And we have a little section called Standards of Practice. All of the funding rules and regulations are in the Standards of Practice. Everything I just told you is like the OspreyHub, how to do it. What you can buy, what you can buy and how you can buy it is over there on the Standards of Practice. All right? And I think that might be the last. It is. So that was a lot of information. Hopefully this makes you feel more comfortable. The most important thing is ask early, put all the information you can into OspreyHub, and if any vendor gives you any piece of paper, don't sign it, scan it, and upload it into the OspreyHub. All right? If a DJ says, yeah, I'll come next week, here, sign my contract. If you sign that contract, you're the one who's responsible to pay them. If the university signs that contract, the university is the one who's going to be responsible for paying them. All right? Scan it, put it in the OspreyHub. Scan it, put it in the OspreyHub. All right, any questions out there? Any questions on the Zoom? Go ahead and put them into the chat. Check my time. I'm exactly 2 minutes over, but I am not going anywhere. I'll answer all your questions. Yes? It's like 3 weeks. The question was, how far in advance do you need to request the credit card? It's like 3 weeks. Yeah. And that reason is because we have to format it. We have to send it over to N-Wing. Y'all know N-Wing, where people eat? Does anybody know what's above N-Wing? The purchasing department. So they have to go through every single purchase that happens with the university dollars and make sure it complies to 1,000 different New Jersey policies. That's why we can't just go to any vendor. That's why we can't hand you that credit card until it's gone through their process and they make sure that that vendor has done all of their paperwork. All right, any other questions out there? Anyone have any really cool ideas? You're like, can I buy A? We've bought some weird things. Every time we go to a meeting with the purchasing department, they go, yo, what is a blah, blah, blah? I've never even heard of that. Why did you just buy that? What's the weirdest thing we bought? Renee, what do you think? Penis pretzels. The penis pretzels were weird, yes. Pretzels in the soft pretzels in the shape of penises. I'm not going to say who, but somebody in our office took it home to their kids and told them they were rockets. I thought the bees were weirder than penis pretzels. The bees, yeah. Anybody here in partake with the bees? No, okay. We buy a lot of coral, too. Anybody involved with the aquarium club? There you go. Any other questions, everyone? This is your time to ask anything weird. No questions on the Zoom? All right, let me hit the escape button and look at the Zoom. Let's see here. With lots of highs. Hi, Olivia. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, if that's all, if you don't have any more questions, I'm going to really quick go over some of the topics that we're doing tomorrow because we want you to come back and we think they're cool too. Zoom links are in the OspreyHub, but we're also doing like breakfast and stuff tomorrow, so that's cool. We're doing financial procedures, the event planning process, and running an effective meeting all in the first session at 10 o'clock. All right. If you need to know how to do a Halloween party and you're like, I don't even know how to book a DJ or a speaker, come to that event planning basics. It's going to be everything from reserving a room to how to talk to a vendor, how to book a vendor, what the policies are, what we can do in the rooms. Somebody said balloons. There are certain rooms here we can't do balloons. So we're going to talk about those kinds of things at the event procedures. Running an effective meeting. Digital marketing hotness. That's my session. Come on out to that one. If you're on the gram and you're like, yeah, but nobody else is, and I don't really know why I do that. We're going to talk about how you can mess with the algorithms and get more people to view what you're looking at. Supporting, serving, and maintaining. That's a great session. Who's doing that one? Supporting. Oh, counseling service is doing that. That's a counseling one. An interactive exploration of identifying and growing ways to work with fear, support members, maintain self-care. Really important in times of COVID, everyone. A lot of people are still really stressed and still really healing from the last year and a half. Everything that happened in the year and a half, just not the COVID. Come on out to that one if you need help. Or if you want to support your members. More importantly, you might be in a good place, but they might not be. I'm redoing financial procedures. Don't come to that again. I'll use the same jokes. We're all in this together. Diane Stalling. If you had questions about the multicultural months that we're doing or the multicultural center, Diane is going to be talking about the way that we can come together and do programs together. Let's see what else here. OspreyHub for beginners. If you've never done that, Both End is a really good one. Darius is going to be doing that from Res Life. He's going to be talking about intersectionality and how it relates to the student experience. Remember earlier I was talking about the woman from Minorities in Law who wanted to get involved in the Women's History Month. You might be like, what does minorities in law have to do with women in history? Well, there are women in history who are also minorities who had things to do with being lawyers and creating incredibly important laws in the country. So that's called an intersectionality. We are not just one thing. We're not just a veteran or Asian or what was your club again? I'm sorry for that. Disney. You're just not a hospitality major who wants to go to Disney. Intersectionality. You're also a woman, male, college student, son, daughter. That's intersectionality. All right, any other questions? All right, I hope to see you back tomorrow on the Zoom or in person. We'll have fun, we'll tell more dad jokes, we'll have some breakfast, and we'll answer any questions. We're also going to be here if you have a specific question. Come on up. Thank you, Zoom. I'm going to go ahead and log off because I'm recording the session.